So welcome to the show. It's good to be back. I've been away for a while. While I was gone, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Apparently they have some sort of roster exemption that lets them sign every single player in the league. They added Ronnie Brown today to their backfield, giving them the opportunity to put, as it says here, Ronnie Brown and LaShawn McCoy and Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick and Earl Campbell and O.J. Simpson on the field at the same time. They've also signed, of course, Nnamdi Asomugha. They've signed...
Asamoah.
Huh?
Asamoah.
Since when?
Since birth.
I don't think so. And Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie came in the trade that sent Kevin Kolb packing.
Cobb. You're like my father. You can't pronounce any sports names. Kevin Kolb.
That's true. I mean, the Kevin Kolb part. And I've just, come on, it's Kolb. And he was my fantasy quarterback last year. It was a disaster. So they send Kevin Kolb packing. They get Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie in that trade. They signed, who else? They signed Cullen Jenkins, and they add Vince Young to replace Kevin Kolb. Come on. It's like they can sign anybody in the league. Ronnie Brown's pretty good, especially if you already have LaShawn McCoy. So it's the same roster exemption that apparently the San Francisco Giants have in the National League, which enables them to just simply trade for whomever they want and never release a player. The Giants, Orlando Cabrera, Jeff Keppinger, Carlos Beltran, whatever. We can keep getting players. Doesn't matter. We're not restricted by the 25-man limit. So anyway, the Eagles have won the Super Bowl. Congratulations to them. They haven't won an NFL title since 1960. That leads me, though, to overall the 31 teams which will be competing for second place for the right to lose to the Eagles, either in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship game. The thing about the NFL is I don't believe anyone understands it, and that includes me. No one knows how it works. We all watch and we think we do, and we get mad at the players. How can you drop that pass? How can you miss that block? Why don't they throw? Why? Whatever. We don't know. I mean, I know things like why you shouldn't punt, which eventually the world will come around to, which is good. Who doesn't enjoy another season of me complaining about people punting too often? Nonetheless, the great thing about the NFL free agency is the absurd excitement over the signing of every player, even though those players are hated by their former team. Case in point, former Redskin cornerback Carlos Rogers. Carlos Rogers was a first-round pick, I think, out of Auburn, the same year that the Redskins also got Jason Campbell in the first round out of Auburn. Two first-round picks.
Both out of Auburn, first-round picks, and Carlos Rogers was number 9.
So Carlos Rogers went 9th, Jason Campbell went in the 20s, like 25, something like that. So Carlos Rogers has been a starter. It's not like he's never made a play. He couldn't catch syphilis from a Bangkok hooker. But nonetheless, he's an NFL starting quarterback. But he's not good. He's not good. The Redskins, it's not like Carlos Rogers has put you in the Super Bowl. So this year, the Redskins, having recognized that, signed Josh Wilson from up 95. The Baltimore Ravens. Josh Wilson's come down. The Redskins, as it says here in this headline I'm actually looking at, it says Redskins upgrade secondary by signing Brown. By signing Josh Wilson, Ronnie Brown with the Eagles. So Redskins signed Josh Wilson, improved secondary. Okay, so then, by the way, there are stats to indicate that Josh Wilson may in fact be better than Carlos Rogers. I love stats coming to the NFL because stats, of course, generally the province of baseball. But here, all of a sudden, we got stats that indicate that quarterbacks throwing at Carlos Rogers, and there's guaranteed no chance he's going to intercept this ball, completed 95.2% of their passes to Carlos Rogers. Passes thrown to Josh Wilson, 67.8% of their passes. That's fairly significant, a fairly significant upgrade. Of course, in the NFL, everything depends on everybody else. Unlike baseball, if you got a significant pass rush, your cornerbacks all of a sudden get a lot better. If you can't rush the passer, every cornerback looks horrible. Nonetheless, that seems like an upgrade, but not to the people who might sign Carlos Rogers, who instantly think, we got Carlos Rogers, man, he was a first-round pick out of Auburn. He's awesome. The Niners are thinking about signing him. I was talking to one of my closest friends, a Michael Shore, a Niners fan. He's like, we're going to get Carlos Rogers. I read this here from a Lions blog. Detroit Lions NFL free agency 2011. Carlos Rogers could be final piece to 2011 puzzle. It's a pretty shitty puzzle.
What puzzle for the Lions?
Here's how it reads. The Detroit Lions are slowly starting to build a pretty good defense in Motown with last year's addition of Kyle Vanden Bosch and drafting Nebraska star Ndamukong Suh. The Lions have greatly improved.
With Nick Fairley, too.
Right, exactly. That was the first pick this year. One of their weakest spots is the secondary, and adding free agent standout Carlos Rogers would put this team up with any defensive side of the ball in the NFL. No, it wouldn't. But again, because he's new, and Rick and I were talking, and the idea is when you sign someone new, no matter who it is, it's always the best that person could possibly be.
Why is that though? Why do writers, why do people who cover the team in the media, why do they always answer questions like mailbags that we talked about? Why do they always assume that they're going to be at their highest peak of potential?
I think, well, first of all, human nature. We want to believe. Fans want to believe. We all want to believe that the guy we're getting. It happens in baseball, but it happens in baseball far less. We're far more practical in baseball because we have a, Jesus and I, we're really big baseball fans, and when we look at stats, we know what we're getting. We know when the Dodgers signed Jamie Carroll to a 2-year, $4 million contract that hasn't put them over the top in the National League West, right? But okay, he'll fill in the days that he has to play, it's not a catastrophe, which is what you're hoping, right? That's what you're looking for with Jamie Carroll. Jamie Carroll's starting at short, he's starting at second. We're not definitely going to lose.
But also, it's the same thing when they signed Uribe.
Totally, right. Right. You're like, okay, they got a major league player who's not as it turned out. He maybe isn't a major league player, and he's a bit of a catastrophe. But at the time, you think, all right, it's a grown-up signing, that's all it is. So in football you don't know because there's so many variables. I mean, a cornerback is only as good as that line. I mean, no cornerback can stop an NFL quality receiver for 4 seconds.
Except for Darrelle Revis.
I know we were making that point, but I've decided no, he can't, man, because the receiver, as always, this is the most basic point. I learned this in part from Hank Stram. The receiver.
My cousin.
Is that right?
No.
The receiver, this is so obvious, knows where he's going before the defensive back. So you can't, an average NFL receiver, Anthony Armstrong of the Redskins last year, knows where he's going before Darrelle Revis. And if there's no pass rush, eventually he'll get a little open. So in football, we're just guessing. We don't know, and we hope. And I don't think I think a lot of people who cover football don't quite understand. It's very few, and some of the great ones like Adam Schefter and Peter King, the ones who really understand it, the ones who really cover it, they know, and they have a better sense. And I'm leaving some out. There's some great, smart guys who cover football, but Schefter and King are two of them.